Hey YouTube, Kiratwig here, bringing you guys another one of my video discussions. It's been a little while since I actually have done one of these, but I thought we'd bring up a pretty simple but, big topic for you guys, and it's pretty much what is your favorite type of special summoning? We have a pretty wide selection now over the years of different kinds of special summoning, so I thought I'd bring you guys a little discussion video. Basically, you guys just, comment down below which one of your favorite special summonings is your favorite and why, basically. I'll go through basically each special summoning. The first one is the first type of special summoning we receive, which is fusion summoning. It involves using two different types of monsters or more, involving a spell card or a different type of method to fuse these monsters together into a different type. We have a bunch of different types of fusions. Elemental heroes were the first type that really took off with their own sub-archetype. Ritual beasts and shaddolls are a current version of fusion, which is very popular. We have a bunch of types. We have gladiator beasts with their contact fusing. Ritual beasts also involve contact fusing, but we received fusion summoning in the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Booster pack, so it's been around since the beginning. Polymerization was the first use of fusion summoning, the first way to do so. I remember we received the first common polymerization in the Joey starter deck. I remember before it was a holo. I think it came out in Legend of the Blue Eyes, so there was no other way to fusion summon, so it had to. And people just thought it was an awesome way. People thought, I'm going to fuse my 3 Blue Eyes into the Blue Eyes Ultimate, probably one of the most known fusions. And it really took off from there. And it's been, pretty current in the meta lately as of Arc V with shaddolls, like I said before, and just a bunch of different other fusion summons. I know that Melodious Monsters will be getting some. So this is one of the first types of special summoning that we have. The next one we have is ritual summoning. Rituals are really kicked it off lately because of Necroz, but they were originally introduced in the Magic Ruler pack. The first big ritual monster we had was Relinquished. It was Maximilian Pegasus's big monster that he ended up fusion summoning with into Thousand Eyes Restrict, one of the first ritual-based fusion summonings. And it goes upon using another spell card, just like fusion summoning, but in this case, a ritual in which you sacrifice monsters that either are greater or equal to the ritual monster you summon. There are some instances, like with the Gishki deck, in which you can use one monster and it'll account for the entire fusion, same with Shuret and Necroz. That's how you ritual summon. The biggest complaint about ritual summoning, though, however, is that you really do minus yourself unless you can really plus hard with the monster's ability. Ritual summons weren't too popular. Heralds around the 5D's time were fun just because perfection could negate pretty much anything that came at it. It was pretty easy to summon, especially with advanced ritual art, making it so you don't minus yourself too hard because you're pretty much just sending a vanilla monster from your deck to the graveyard for the summon. And it really took off. The blue cards really attracted the younger bunch in us. Same with the purple cards. Color really, stood out against people with these decks. And that's pretty much all I could say. Necroz are probably one of the #1 decks currently in the format, using ritual monsters as their main forms of summoning. But it is probably one of my favorites. I always loved the Gishkis. I had so many different variants with Zealgigus, Gus Kraken, that it just kept the deck fun, and you can do a bunch of different other summonings as well along with it. Next up, we have Synchro summonings. Synchros were introduced in the Duelist Genesis as the first type of summoning based solely on a series. I know that GX had fusion summoning as, a big part of its series with Jaden and his elemental heroes. But, rituals were also a thing. But 5Ds was the first one where synchro was the key. Everyone relied on a synchro summon for all the main decks. And basically with synchros, you take a tuner and a non-tuner and you tune them together by equaling out the monster's level for that synchro summon. It's a very popular type. There are a lot of different sub types for synchro summoning. We have Blackwings, Infernities were also pretty big. Just a lot of different variant decks popped up because of synchro summoning, and they really relied on, the deck as itself to make. You really had to put your effort into that type of deck to make a Synchro summon. And it pretty much stuck throughout the whole 5Ds format. It kind of died down a little after Exceeds came out because there were not too many decks that were Synchro aligned. People thought, oh, Synchros are dead. With Exceeds being a lot more consistent, but then they popped up again as the Arc V era came out. I know we'll be getting Clear Wing Synchro Dragon pretty soon, which is an awesome card. It looks great, an awesome effect, and a bunch of other decks. Yang Zings rely on Synchro summons for pretty much all their plays when you're not using the effect monsters. So I'm glad that this type of special summoning hasn't died down at all. Really, it just settled after a little while, but picked up again with Arc V's release of Duelist Alliance and new challengers and Secrets of Eternity. Up next, we have the Exceed Summon, which I mentioned before. Exceed Summons were introduced in Generation Force and the Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal anime. It all relies on taking two monsters of the same level, or two or more monsters, and overlaying them together into a different type of monster, a monster that does not contain levels, but a rank, which are on the opposite side of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card. This, type probably is the most viable in a lot of decks because with Synchro monsters, you do have to run a tuner in your main deck to make the Synchro monster. But with Exceed monsters, you could pretty much say, okay, I run a lot of this type of monster in my deck. I could throw a couple of these Exceeds in just for emergency. People say, okay, it may not be the main ploy of the deck, but I still will have a way to get it out in case I need to. And Exceed monsters basically have, a bunch of different ways to go out. You can have monsters that pretty much increase in power the higher the rank up you go. We have broken ones like number 11 Big Eye, which were really a thing when rank 7 plays were strong with the elemental dragons that just abused Exceed summoning. We have probably the easiest, which is rank 4. Which is used in a lot of decks now with Satellar Knights and anything else, Yosenjus. And after that, rank 3s probably were the most popular with windups and insectors at the time. Rank 3s were so easy. We received Tour Guide and Extreme Victory, which was kind of a little hint to, hey, we're getting a new broken type. This card's going to be able to abuse it so easily, which make it a really popular card at the time. So it stayed around and it's still, kicking strong in a lot of decks currently. And the last type of special summoning we have is the Pendulum Summon, our newest form of summoning, which basically relies on having this monster in your deck, just like the Ritual monster. All the others, Exceed, Synchros, and Fusions, stay in your extra deck, but like Ritual monsters, Pendulum monsters stay in your main deck and are called out through a pendulum summoning by setting the scales, placing on both sides, and then summoning a monster from your hand that is between the scales of those two monsters. You can pendulum summon once per turn, and it counts as one big summon depending on how many monsters you summon. It's kicking off. This is, a still pretty new type of special summoning. Clifforts are a big deck right now that rely on pendulums. I know we're getting the Ignites later on in a future booster pack. They just, I'm sure they'll kick off. Exceeds were slow in the beginning, just, coming out and showing what they can do, and now they're everywhere. I'm sure soon pendulums will be everywhere as well. And pendulum monsters, when they're destroyed, head to the extra deck, but they're placed on top of the extra deck to re-special summon back later. It's a really unique type of summoning. It makes me think, after, this, what's next? Are we going to get another type of summoning, or are we going to have a whole new type of summoning? Is there going to be something that goes beyond normal and special summoning? Are we going to have, a completely different thing that doesn't count as normal or special summoning? Who knows? The future will tell what we have with this game. But basically now the discussion will take bait again. What's your favorite type of summoning? Like I said, I think my favorite in all type of summoning would have to be Synchro summoning. I love the whole concept of the tuner. I was brought back into the game around when Synchro monsters were big. Duelist Revolution is when I came back into the game. So Synchros are really a big thing around that time. And I think after that, I'd have to go with ritual summonings. I've been ritual summoning since I was a kid. Same with fusion summoning, but I always was a big ritual user, so that would have to be second on my list. After that, probably gonna go with fusions. I'm a pretty old Yu-Gi-Oh player, so I do like to stick with the classics, but I love fusion summoning as well. I had a hero deck, who didn't? I use Shaddoll's now as well. I'm also working on Ritual Beasts at the moment too, so all three of those decks are a lot of fun, and they've made it so you can fusion summon and ritual summon now, and not minus yourself at all with the big decks, either by, using fusion materials from your main deck or getting a lot of searches off with the cards you summon. And for those are my top three, I'd say fourth place is Exceeds. Basically at the bottom of the list, it's just impact at this point. The deck that I used with these didn't really stick well to me. I would use the Exceed decks for a short amount of time, and then I would, get rid of them. I'm still looking for that archetype. Maybe, if I had, maybe Exceeds are tied with fusions on my list for, favorite deck, but it's pretty close. There are a lot of Exceeds that I think are really cool. The number concept was really awesome in my opinion, but, they're still there on the list. And taking fifth place at the moment is Pendulum summoning, but that's just because this is still a new type of special summoning. I'm sure it won't stay at fifth. It might rise up depending on the type of deck we get or the different types of plays we'll see with this. I mean, we've revealed and seen a Pendulum Exceed monster. If we could see a Pendulum Ritual monster, I think that'll be awesome. Just because, you'll take one of my favorites, combined it together, and I'm definitely sure it's a possibility that we'll see a Pendulum Synchro monster as well down the road. So having a Synchro monster, when it's Synchro summoned, if it's destroyed, send it to the extra deck or put it in a Pendulum scale. That'll be really interesting to see. But now it's your turn. Comment down below, what is your favorite type of special summoning and why? And I'm sure you have more than one, so be sure to comment all of them down below, what your favorite is list-wise, or if you'd have two favorites, whatever you think. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and Kiratwig2 out.